you have to deal with patients. What is the diagnosis of patients? So this is kind of a diagnosis research, okay? And then when patients will ask you, what is the cause of this disease? What is the risk factor of this disease? This is called etiology research, or risk factor research, or etiognosis research. And then if they're getting disease, what is the prognosis? If they're getting cancer, how long can they survive? How long can they survive in disease-free or relapse-free? So this is the prognosis research. And the last one is therapeutic. Like, if you're getting this disease, what is the best treatment for me, for the patient? So we try to do the research on treatment. Okay? So this is the concept of depth model or diagnosis, etiology, prognosis, therapeutic. But so, of course, survival analysis or cancer survival, normally we have this in the prognosis research. I will show you later. And also therapeutic research, you can do survival analysis. But for diagnosis research and etiology, nothing to do with the survival. Okay? More on the risk factor like odds ratio, relative risk, or sensitivity, specificity. But we will talk about survival. Most of the research in prognosis research and therapeutic research. Okay? So what is the prognosis research? So the prognosis refers to the outcome, the future outcome when you get the disease. Okay? So the future outcome, not today outcome. You get the disease now, what will be the prognosis? What will happen in 5 years from now, 10 years from now? So this is prognosis research. One thing you should know that you need to know the prognosis to improve the health. If you know only prognosis, but you just say to patient that the chance of survive 5 years only 80%, and that's all. It's not good. But if you know the chance of survive, you use this to judge which drugs to use to these patients. If patients have a survival like a 1 year survival 90%, not lung cancer. For example, lung cancer, 5 year survival is only, in Thailand is only 5%. Okay, 5% for lung cancer. That means 100 people, 100 patients now, 5 year, 95% die. Only 5 patients left, something like this. So if you know the survival of these patients, you can think about, do I need to give really complicated drug, or we do the palliative care because the chance of survival only 5%, something like this. So you know the prognosis, and you use prognosis to judge something, to deal with some decision of treatment, and to deal with the patients and the family. Okay, so prognosis research need to improve health. Okay, and there are 4 types of prognosis research. I will go one by one. Okay, the first one is overall prognosis research. It's describe the future outcomes to current diagnosis and treatment. What is the 5 year survival of breast cancer patients in Yogyakarta? What is the 5 year survival of lung cancer patients in Yogyakarta? This is like overall prognosis research. Deal with current diagnosis and treatment. What is the effective of healthcare system of cancer in Yogyakarta now? Okay, so this is I would say it's overall prognosis. And it's an average prognosis. That means you need to see the survival in population of patients. So not only patients in the hospital, not only patients in clinical trial or in one clinic, but the average prognosis in cancer patients in Yogyakarta. Okay? We use this average prognosis to guide the policy. So overall prognosis research is not deal with the clinic, like the individual patient, but like the big picture of the public health to see the prognosis of the population in your area. I will show you later how to use this information to deal with the policy. Okay? So the main point here is that overall prognosis is an average prognosis in all patients in your area, not individual but average, and used to guide policy in public health. Like this, we can compare the 5 years survival of breast cancer. So if you want to get breast cancer, do you want to live in which country? So you want to live in a country with high survival, is that right? You see this in European country. The 5 year survival rate is quite the same. So you can see that you can, if you want to get cancer, you can get cancer in every country here. It's not different. But when you see, I will show you later, when you see the big picture of the world, you can see the big difference. Like the 5 years survival of breast cancer in European country may be 80%, but in some countries may be only 20%. The big difference. If you live in European country, 5 years survival is 80%. But if you live in some country, only 20% can live for 5 years. Okay, so it's a big gap, and you can use this to guide the policy. This is my research in my area in the northern part of Thailand. I compare the average prognosis of each province in northern part. You see, if we live in the same area, in the northern area like Chiang Mai and Lamphak, do we still have a gap for the survival? The effective healthcare is the same or not? So you can see in some cancer, the treatment outcome is the same, like in cervical cancer. But in some cancer, like the colorectal cancer, there's a big gap of survival, for example. Second one is prognosis factor research. This research deals with the factor, which factor associated with poor prognosis or good prognosis. For example, here, the HER2, in breast cancer, you can see this factor have different prognosis. If you have HER2 positive, HER2 negative, HER2 positive have poor prognosis. This is 5 years, this is survival, this is not survival, this is 1 year survival or 12 months, 2 years survival, 3 years survival. You will see when the time flies, the survival rate is decreased in HER2 positive without any treatment. Okay. So this is a factor research, prognosis factor research, to find some factor that have different prognosis, poor prognosis and best prognosis. Okay. And the third one is prognosis model research. Okay. In the morning I show you some website. I will show you again here. Sometimes we want to know the prognosis in individual patient, not the average prognosis like the first like this one. It's overall it's average prognosis, but if you want to know the individual prognosis of your patient, we need to have some research on the prognosis model research, and you will get to predict. I will show you here. But it's the system behind the model is very complicated. You have to do analysis in regression model. You have to put something in formula. Then you will get the website like this. I will show you here. Maybe some internet. We will show you later. Age at diagnosis, tumor size, tumor grade, estrogen receptor, HER2 receptor, something like this. And then this system will calculate the 5 year survival for your patient. So it's an individual prognosis, not an average anymore. Okay, and you can use this to guide or to make a decision with the patient. And if you do not take any medicine, what is your prognosis? 5 year survival. If you use this medicine, what is your 5 year survival? Increase